It's still super early, so my curtains are shut. But it is this beautiful illumination here from the plant lights. I had to have plant lights. We don't get the sun anymore. So it's just so weird how people are just like, oh, that's just the way it is. Don't question that. It's science. It wouldn't happen if it wasn't. But these beautiful illumination lights, they're red and blue. They're really pretty when they're red, but I guess the plants also need blue. But it really is helping the plants. And then I won't have to have the depression light because I ordered another one, and I'm going to put the plants back up in the higher window and string those ones up. So anyways, that's a pretty little thing to have, you know, to turn something dark into something beautiful. Because it is like very dark. It's been just, it sounds like it's totally pouring. I don't know how much of it is the melting and how much of it is rain. Because it's so dark, you can't see. But it was weird yesterday when I drove into town. I was going the other way. I was going, you can go towards the ocean or you can go towards Canada. And so I was going towards Canada and to get her meds. And so when you're going that way, you're coming, you can see you're coming down off a hill. Because when you're coming from the ocean way, it just seems flat. It doesn't seem like you're going up. And I'm only at, when I had looked it up, because I was like, how high am I? It's only like 650 above the elevation. And all these storms are only supposed to be hitting 1,000, 1,500 feet and stuff above. And we're getting hit worse. This is Truman Show bullshit. So, and the snow does not melt at all. And the thing that's super sad is, like, I saw him spraying the toxins the other day, and it probably is helping to melt this creation. But how much of this poison is going back into our earth? It's sick. And I was going to go and catch some of that snow melting. And I was like, I could hear it loud. No, stop. It's poison. So it was like, okay. And I do try and get the rainwater, but man, right now with how much toxins, because so when you're driving that way, it seems like it's flat and it just seems like it starts becoming more foresty. There's less houses and stuff. And it doesn't seem like you go up. And then going down, though, when you start going towards Canada, you do go down some hills. And that's probably one of the reasons why some of these roads are closed some of the time. But I don't know, they were been washed out. One of them I started driving up, it said it was closed. And I was like, well, maybe it's just like a little thing. You can go around it. You can get up there. Is there a freaking avalanche across the whole road? They hadn't even done anything because they're trapping us. They are purposely doing this shit. Oh, man, we're trying to get to that. Like, South Pass has been closed all this time. And then when I looked at that picture, and it looks like a damn earthquake. Well, how the hell does that happen? How's the road split like that? But I don't know. Even when you say stuff to people like, isn't this weird? They just like zone out. Like, they hadn't even thought of that. This being weird. Yeah, it's the end of the world. Of course it's weird. Like, that's all they can think of. It's whatever the news says. Oh, so, okay, let me finish this real quick. So when I drove down it, because it was clear up here, it was like 40 something. There was some melting going on, not at the extreme level it should have been for how long it's been in the 40s now. Normal snow would have melted a lot more. It has to be 32. It won't even stick. Unless it's just like a total downpour, unless it's like 32 degrees. So once it starts going up a lot, normal snow normally melts. But who knows? Because how much of everything has been manipulated for so long that we don't even know what's real and what's not real. So, science is all manipulation. But when I drove down, it was just fog. It was so deep of fog. You couldn't see any of the mountain ranges. You couldn't see anything. And it was holding in because it's where all the farms are and the cattle and stuff. And oh my God, the smell. Oh, it was crazy how bad it smelled. And it's got to be like that atmospheric thing. And that's what I think that they do is like they blanket us with these atmospheric kind of things. And they use their chemtrail kind of situation to encase these chemicals that come in, and then they create these pockets of poison pockets, you know? So yeah, you could tell it was just like holding in the smell. It was treacherous, man. And I did get some wood though, so I felt so excited about that. And it really, after I went and got the wood and I came back in, because this is so crazy, because I keep saying, you know, people are really showing what's inside them. And last night when I was talking about this with my mom, it clicked all of a sudden. Oh, maybe that's what a light body is. You just see through them. It's transparent. If you're not pure of heart, people are going to see it. You can't hide yourself. There's no mask that can cover it up anymore. You're going to be seen. You're going to be exposed. And that is what drives the soul, is what drives the soul to perform, to do better. So, you know, this is important as a soul's evolution for this to happen. But, you know, and the more you heal, the more you'll start seeing through people. They can't hide themselves. And don't doubt yourself. You'll get to the point where, you know, in the old way we would doubt ourselves because it's probably just in my head. But no, this is, it is trusting yourself, you know, and to realize that what you feel on the inside is accurate to your perception of your experience if you're in a healed state of mind. If you're not, then you're just reactive, you're being triggered, you know, you've got all these things coming at you and it's just like bam, 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 you know, and it's when you get into that place where you've healed those wounds. They can't trigger you. They can't make you feel bad because you know it's coming from within them and you have come to peace with who you are. So, but when you get to that point, yeah, then you just start seeing through people because you're not being like triggered by them. So you just can see. And so this wood situation there's been so many situations in this experience. Like, I mean, I bitch and complain about being out here, but I have learned so much. It has expanded my perspective by so much. It's phenomenal. But yeah, when I started seeing like, wow, people are so like, they use these masks to cover themselves up, but they don't really know who they are, really. They don't know they're covering something up. They're just trying to, you know, be their best. They don't know really what's inside of them that they're showing. So that's why I say that these people are going to have a lot to deal with real soon. But so the wood thing was just, there was a lot of lessons there. And that's what my guides kept telling me the whole time. They were giving me the information. And so I knew that it was like a kind of a catalyst, which I don't like to tell too much stuff because I know that it makes, you know, if I tell too much details, it's going to eventually hurt someone's feelings. And I'm not out to hurt someone's feelings. I'm out to help us all look at ourselves, to help us all see through these illusions, because the way that we evolve is all of us, you know. It isn't just like, oh, I'm just going to do it and I'll be the best. And you know, that's not what we're headed for. We're headed for a world of evolved people, a world of healed people, a world where we fill our own cup. So, you know, we're not, somebody keeps texting me and it's very odd because that's a whole nother situation. It's very strange. I'm talking about this and this is like nonstop being texted. It's so weird, but this is what it keeps happening in my life. So I went, you know, and they were telling me that, you know, this is for you to learn and see. So, and so I'm sitting here, you know, I'm freezing cold and I'm just keep telling myself, you know, I'm gonna get through this. This is gonna be fine. This isn't the end or something. This isn't the way things will always be. Don't get caught up in that. So, you know, I knew I would get another point. Of course, Stella's medication drives me because, you know, I mean, she's having a really rough morning already and she's already had 2 or 3 doses of RSO. And it's hard to monitor, you know. I mean, the stuff looks like black tar or heroin or something. It's like, this is a different one. The other one she had was clear. So this one, I'm just already like, oh, this is intense looking. But she's had her regular meds and she's just having a really rough morning. And yesterday when I was rubbing her back, because I'll do massages on her, and I found another weird lump. Like, she gets a lot of these like cysty kind of things that are just, but this other one, so I got to keep watching that. And, you know, just keep on holding out for those med beds and knowing that we've got technology to heal this bullshit. We just got to get there. We just got to get these people out of our way. But so the wood thing, it was teaching me a lot of stuff, and it was the information they were giving me. So I went yesterday to go get her meds, and I'm driving, it's total fog and stinks like to high heaven. And then the guy had a shit ton of wood, and so I got a bunch of wood, and I left him a note, and I asked him about buying a cord and if he would come and deliver and stuff. I haven't heard from him yet, but that doesn't mean I won't. I'll go back down and ask again. I'm not going to just give up, It's hard to find legit people around here. People use wood to screw people over. So, that's coming from us. That's not the cabal doing that. Remember, this is people, whose moral compass is just a little bit off. And, they're going to be exposing themselves to the world. And, you can't keep doing the old tricks and think that nobody's noticing, because it's going to be seen. And then the more you wake up, the more you realize you've always been seen. There was always someone watching, and you were always exposing yourself. So, when I came back in, so I carried the wood up and stuff, and I came in and I had the meditation music on for Stella, because I think it really helps her with the healing. It's like healing vibes and stuff. So I switched out of it, and I think it was a tarot thing that popped up. And so I pushed on it, and it came on, and it started saying, you've learned the lessons that were there for you now. And you see what we're talking about. And I started saying this whole thing. That's where I say, like, this is real. Like, either I'm communicating with AI all the time and have been my whole life, even before it even was there, or I'm communicating with beings who are outside, who are guiding me. But you got to make sure, you use your discernment. You've got to always be thinking of, is this to hurt or harm? Or is this to help and heal? Because that is if you keep your intention directed towards the healing, unity, and love, and keep your focus and your intention on what would be best, and be mindful of things. When they're telling you things, there's a lot of stuff they'll tell me, and I'll go over it, and then I'll be like, no, I'm not gonna say that, no. And a lot of things they'll talk about, and it's just like it just makes sense because they show it to me in my head, and it just makes sense, even if I've never heard anybody talking about it or whatever. And I've just reached a point where I can't go around and just listen to people because it interferes. So, there was a point where I was going and listening to a lot of spiritual people and all that stuff, but now not so much. But there is definitely, like, the communication with the numbers. When you start being aware of it, it's all around you all the time. But there was a bunch of other things I wanted to talk about too. One of the things was this morning I turned on the TV, and I think because Mr. Wolf had shared me that Michael Solace video the other day of him talking about these arcs that have been found. And like these big motherships that are being kind of like unveiled for us to help us move forward. And so probably because I watched that, his thing popped up, I guess, algorithm. But the person who was on was the guy from the East City Ranch. And I've seen that guy speak before. I really want to go to that ranch because it is really a highly energized kind of place. But I think right now it's just kind of so popular too, but I couldn't take Stella, is why I haven't gone yet. But it's only like 6 or 8 hours for me, so I intend to go. I haven't like locked it in. Once you lock in a thing into your intention, then it will happen. You manifest it to happen, and that's why a lot of people don't understand, because a lot of people are just so busy manifesting what they don't want to happen, so that they just are focused on what they don't want to happen. So that is where they're at. But, once you lock in, like, oh, I'm going, and this is when I'm going, it will just start falling into place. As long as that is where you're supposed to be. But I've not ever planned a trip that I had no idea what was going to, like if I start planning a trip, it's not like I go, oh, I got $10,000. I'm going to go plan a trip now. It's more like, oh, I really want to go to blah, blah, blah. So that's where I want to go. and I want to go at this time, and I'm just going to trust the universe. They're going to get me there. And they do, you know? So I haven't had it where I wasn't supposed to go, but I would say, you know, maybe one of the reasons with the East Eddy Ranch, the reason I'm not directed yet to really put my intention towards it is because I'm not directed to be there yet, you know? So that's part of, to me, of reading the signs and the energy. And, you know, if my desire was strong, then I've already put the intention in and I would have already gone. But, you know, my desire has been more strong to take care of the dogs. And plus, you know, I learned about that place, I think it was during all of this stuff. So travel has been kind of an ordeal this whole time, you know. I mean, just all of this ridiculousness. My daughter told me the other day that everybody in Spokane is sick now. And I told my mom, and she's like, I'm not, my friends aren't. And I said, well, it's probably her and her friends because they're all. And but I did get the opportunity to say I don't understand why they're doing those things without doing the antibodies test first. Doesn't make any sense. So at least I planted a seed, you know. Hopefully that just gets her to start being like, yeah. I mean, maybe that's like, why? Because, you know, antibodies make it where you don't get it again. So unless you get another strain, that's why they came up with like, oh, the flu shot, because it's another strain, another strain, another strain. Oh, you can get this one, but you got another strain. It's just more ways to fill us with poison. Every single time that they brought those in to do on the nurses, all those nurses would get sick. I mean, to me, I started noticing. I don't know how many other ones started noticing, but I sure the hell did. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm good with the shots. But then suddenly, you know, now I'm an anti because I'm like, hell no. But I told my daughter, like, why? I've already got antibodies. I don't need more poisons to fight my body. There's enough toxins. There's enough stuff my body's trying to. But it's so much like that Popeye the Goombas or whatever, I love Popeye, I love Popeye. It's so focused on, their mind is so focused on what they are being pulled by these controllers. You know, they've got their minds so focused on this that everything else sounds like wah, 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 wah. You know, and we're only trying to just prick our little ways into their psyche little by little, you know, drop the seeds because the universe will do the work. But so when I was watching this interview, it was really cool because like I said, I don't go in and look up and, you know, follow what's going on with the UFOs and the disclosure. Like if David Wilcock comes on, or if I see Corey Good or something, there's certain people that I really like that I would go in and watch. Sometimes with Laura Eisenhower, there was some really interesting stuff that she had said I had never heard a few years back. But I don't really know what is going on with her. So I think she's kind of maybe struggling through this. But, you know, a lot of people are. Even on this one, they were talking about how all this stuff has divided the UFO community. They're all divided. And I've seen it also with the spiritual community. All these different communities are dividing. But that divide has to happen so that the people can look at themselves and see, like, you know, there has to be these things that happen so that people can see themselves. You know, we can't just carry on the way things were. And the collapse is going to, you know, create something so much better. So, yeah, I've seen that with the spiritual stuff, just like with the, you know, this dime store spiritual stuff that is, you know, it's going full steam ahead because it's a lot less work. You know, it's a lot easier. All you got to do is sit and meditate, walk out in the forest a while, turn on some high vibration music, cook some vegan food, and, you know, you're all good to go. It's like, well, you got some of the ingredients for this recipe of enlightenment, but the biggest thing is you. And so it's all about the healing. It's all about your self-evolution. But another thing, what he was talking about, he said a lot of things that I was like, oh, cool. Because one of the things that he was saying when he started talking about the Atlantis and the Pleiades and the Pleiadians, and that was a colony that it was colonized by the Palladians, because I had talked about through this awakening that I started, the stuff with Atlantis. I knew I was attached to that from the time I was a kid, but you kind of just blow it off because, nobody gives a shit. Everybody's like, just wants to know, like, what do you do for a living? How much do you make? How many cars do you have? What do you do for fun? People don't give a shit. They've just been caught up in this shallow existence. So, then seeing this him talking, and he was also has a connection to the Pleiades, and his messaging that he's getting is so similar to mine, and that how much they're going to have such an effect, and how many of them are actually incarnated. So there was a lot of stuff he was saying that just made so much more sense of putting the pieces together for my internal guidance, which right now, like, I'm getting hit totally with this high frequency. Last night I got hit so hard with this high frequency that I just was like, I'm just gonna turn on some high vibration music. This is horrible. And then I don't know how it's affecting Stella. So I turned something off on loud to try and that was also frequency, to kind of interrupt it. And it did feel better. No, I mean, it's like penetrates into your ears, into your brain. Like, and last night I was like, are they trying to just like fry our brains with these frequencies? Like, what the hell are they doing? And then he was talking about that there's frequencies coming from up above. So I don't know if it is as you start to evolve and ascend, or however, because it's your consciousness, it's your awareness. So when that starts to happen, if there's even more frequencies that you start, because he was even talking about too, about a lot of people having problems with this high energy. And I keep talking about like all of these different, like weird kind of, emotional things where I'm like, I don't even understand. Am I picking up on the people around here? Is it like the collective and stuff? And he was talking about, this energy, and he was talking about their frequencies. So, but that's where, I don't know. I don't know. Is this the white hats or the black hats? Is this who knows where these high frequencies are coming from? And maybe it's a whole bunch of different ones. Maybe I'm only hearing things of different things going on. I don't know. It's very, very strange. But he was talking about so many things that has been also my information, and I don't know him. I don't follow him or anything. I've looked him up online and stuff because I want to go to that ranch. But I don't go into, like, I don't go, oh, what are all the spiritual people saying? Because it interferes with mine. If somebody says something different, then it interferes. Or I'll just be like, their information is different. But the ones that have popped up where my guides have wanted me to see, they'll bring it to me. I don't have to go look. They'll bring something to me. And it will give confirmation as to something they're telling me. And that is what is so trippy. That's when you start going like, oh, this is real. This is not real. Where people think this isn't real and you're just a crazy person. Well, then I'm a fucking masterful crazy person, motherfucker, because this is, this is crazy, the shit that goes on. And if it's been going on the whole time, like, it's because we weren't noticing. It's because we are elevating ourselves to move towards that, is why we are realizing what's going on and noticing. Because I knew there was communication the whole time. I knew there was aliens the whole time. I just couldn't figure out why everybody else was so confused about it. And just now, people are starting to be like, "Hey, you think those alien thing? You think that's real?" But that's the same thing as, it's going to take them a while to wrap their heads around, aliens aren't monsters. They're just all different beings having different experiences. And he talked about the draconian thing too, and that's what I kept thinking. I kept thinking it's so funny that all this is called draconian lockdowns. Like, that's pretty funny. And he said, because it's the people who are running the show. And it's like, yeah, the draconians. And he was saying something like, it seemed like he was saying like a lot of the reptilians are bad. But to me, that's the same thing as like saying a lot of the Muslims are bad. A lot of them are terrorists. It's an individual soul thing. And you know, some souls go into warring groups, and maybe it's to change them, maybe it's to understand them, maybe it's to learn to not judge them, to learn compassion for them, because that's all we want to do is elevate ourselves by having those things of non-judgmental compassion and for others, and understanding that every life experience has value and none have more value than the other. And, you know, to have respect for everyone's experience, because we're all from the same thing. We are all part of the same thing. And, you know, one thing, like with the division with religion and spiritualness, because to me, the people who are religious, they think like, well, the spiritual people don't worship Jesus, so they are, you know, they're wrong, you know. And to me, it is like, yeah, I'm not going to worship the guy. I have respect for him. And I think that, you know, his message was clear and he was a really good guy. But, you know, there's a whole bunch of Jesuses. There's a whole bunch of people that, you know, that guy just kind of got the raw end of the deal where they made a religion and stuff and formed this worship around him. You know, but there's lots of people who bring these messages to the planet. It's just not always that the planet is ready. Now the planet is more transformative and is ready more. But even, you know, people like Jesus coming in at that time, that was for a purpose. It was to direct the I want to say ocean or water or whatever, but if you think of the collective as water like that, because emotionally, energetically, it's like the same kind of thing, like a flock of birds or whatever. When things, you know, what you call it, a pack of animals or whatever. So it's a collective kind of energy. So, you know, different people have come in at different times to give a motivation, to give a guidance, to direct the energy at certain times when it needed it for certain reasons, because everything is so designed. Like people think like there's not designed all this. There is complete design to all of this. And it is all for soul experience so that we can grow. And so much exciting stuff is coming our way right now. It's just super exciting. But I'm about to have a cough attack, so I'll be right back.